Hi, my name is Becca. Welcome back to Raising Them Simply. Here we share all things about our secular homeschool as a family of 5. Today we are going to be chatting about an update on what we are doing for our curriculum picks for the 2026-2027 school year. If you are new here, I have a current preschooler, a second grader, a toddler, and another one on the way. I'm also a part-time working mom as a nurse, so this channel is all things homeschool and how we make it work for our family. If any of that interests you at all, please hit that subscribe button so you're notified of future videos. But let's jump into it. So I did a video not too long ago. I will go ahead and link it down below for you guys on what we were kind of thinking as far as direction-wise for our school year next year, and I wanted to give you guys an update because I'm pretty solidified in what our picks are going to be, and I just wanted to go ahead and update you and share those with you guys. I am very short of breath, so we're going to try to get through this video as best as we can without my breathing being too obnoxious, but we are getting there, guys, with this next baby, and it's just a struggle some days, so we're just rolling with it. But we're going to start with what I'm calling my second year preschooler. Now, I live in Minnesota, and where I live, she would not be starting kindergarten this upcoming school year because she would not be turning 5 until November. So she doesn't meet the cutoff. However, she's been doing preschool all this last year, and she's been doing great, and she's wanting more, and she's participating way more than what we thought we would, and I'm not going to hold her back. So we will start with her. Some of the things are going to be preschool, some are going to be kindergarten-ish. But for my first pick, I've got my notes and stuff over here for you guys, so if I'm looking over, that's what I'm doing. But for my preschooler, we are going to be finishing the pre-reading from All About Reading. That should come as no surprise to you guys if you are not new here. I expect that we are going to be done with the pre-reading by the time that the next school year comes, but I'm giving us some leeway because one, she's younger and I'm not pushing her at all. And two, we have this baby coming, so I don't want to put any added pressure on myself or on her to finish this before next school year starts. But whenever that is finished, we will be moving into All About Reading Level 1, which we had done with my oldest. So we will be moving into that one next. One of the biggest things that I wish we would have taken a little more seriously with my current second grader was handwriting and copy work and all that entails. He has dyslexia, so it was a struggle, and we just had to pick one thing. So we're playing a little bit of catch up, but my preschooler does not have those same struggles as my oldest does. So we are going to be doing the handwriting without tears curriculum with her, and we're going to be doing the preschool kindergarten ones where it's retracing all the letters and learning how to write them without tracing them and all of that. So we will be starting that. She's doing some practice with that already, but I want to be keeping up with that. So we will be doing that for her handwriting, and then I also plan on doing Get Ready for the Code. I love the Explode to Code books. My son has a love-hate relationship with them. He loves them at first because he loves the games, but then he just gets bored because he feels like it's too repetitive. It's not changing enough for him. But I think with my preschooler's personality that she would really, really like the Explode the Code games and stuff. And I do believe that when we were doing it with my oldest, that it really helped with his spelling and solidifying his reading when we did those. So we're going to be doing both of them. I'm not sure if we're going to kind of alternate or how we're going to do that, but I plan on doing both of those at some point during next school year. We will also be moving into Math with Confidence first grade. She's doing the kindergarten level right now. She's flying through it. I'm expecting that we're going to be hitting a wall at some point because developmentally she might not be ready for some of those concepts. Whenever we hit those walls, we'll just take a break and do review and fun math games and things like that. but at some point next year, we'll be moving into that first grade math with competence. Now, in that other video, I talked about us doing Build Your Library Level 1, which is like exploring the world, learning about world continents, and all of that. That is what I did do with my oldest. But after I filmed that video, I really took a step back and I went through the curriculum again, and I do not think that that's going to be a good fit for my 4-year-old at this stage that she's in, and it would be better if we approach that next year or at a different time. The reason being is because I remember that some of the chapter books in level 0 have like older English, have older words in them, some of them, and they were a little more bland for even my oldest when we read through them. And he enjoyed the books, but he has always been really good about paying attention and absorbing information through literature and books, and even chapter books at an early age. We started reading chapter books together when he was 4, and he was understanding all the information and all of that. My current preschooler is not at that same level, and I remembered going through the curriculum that there were times when we were doing level 0 with my oldest that we were hitting roadblocks where we would pause on some things and work on other stuff before continuing. And my current preschooler is going to be a couple months younger even than what my oldest was when we started that curriculum. So I have another curriculum that I was using on top of Build Your Library Level 0, which I know is a lot, but I had purchased this curriculum from Teachers Pay Teachers. It is Kinder Social Studies bundled units from Tara West on Teachers Pay Teachers for the curriculum level or kindergarten level. And I purchased this mostly because in Build Your Library, the biggest criticism that I heard was that it did not go over the United States hardly at all. And that wasn't good enough for me because that is where we live and I wanted to be able to spend a good chunk of time there. So when we did Build Your Library Level 0, when we got to North America and we talked about the United States, we did a bunch of this stuff for that to help supplement so that we could do more United States information in our study. And then in this bundle, it includes, I am just pulling it up here. It includes, the Unit 1 is on rules versus laws. Unit 2 is on the United States and what communities are and things like that. Unit 3 is all about maps. Unit 4 is on different countries, and then Unit 5 is on economics. And for economics, it's mostly like what are needs versus wants, how to save money, that type of thing. So what we pulled from this in my oldest kindergarten level, we did all of this, but some of them were more supplemental. Like I would take some of the projects and stuff that they had on here on different countries, and then I pulled those into those units when we discussed those countries in the Build Your Library, so that we had more fun crafts and things like that, because my son really loved doing art projects and I didn't want to have to try to come up with extra projects for us to do. So he did that. So what I'm thinking is that this curriculum is technically made for a classroom setting. I believe most of Tara West's stuff is, but she has the curriculum set out and it's laid out very nicely, and you can do the majority of this with just one student. So my plan is that with this social studies bundle that I already have, we will go over the United States and all that entails. We'll still do our around the world journey. We'll just be doing it through this. And she does have literature picks and stuff like that throughout all of these different units. And we'll just pull extra stuff from the library to help supplement it, to make it a little more heavier on the literature, but in a way that is more at her level. I'm not going to be worried about chapter books or anything like that. If we read any chapter books with her, it's going to be stuff that we do for fun at bedtime to just grow that love and the attention span and all that stuff when it comes to stamina and things for reading chapter books. But this is a lot more of a gentle approach, lots more hands-on games and art projects and activities and stuff that I know that she's going to really enjoy. And it's something that I already have. So instead of feeling like we're doing Build Your Library and she's just not ready for those, we're just going to focus on this Tara West social studies bundle. And that will do a lot with her art and then her social studies history type requirements, if you want to call it that, for the school year. Now for the last kind of little bit for my preschooler is we are doing space and anatomy from Little School of Smiths. I have done flip throughs on both of those, and anything else that I have I will link down below for you guys like always. But we are planning on doing space for the first half of the year and then anatomy for the second half of the year. Now we are going to be changing how we are doing science a little bit in this next coming school year, because right now we are doing a Sabbath type approach when it comes to our scheduling, meaning we're doing about 6 weeks of school and then 1 to 2 weeks off because we homeschool year round. And we're not going to be doing that next year because I think we're actually going to have a couple of families that we're really close with come to our house 1 day a week to do science. So we plan on doing this more co-op style. If not, that's fine. I still plan on doing it once a week. The reason why we are doing science on our breaks now, on our 1 to 2 week breaks, is because we're doing nature studies, and it was just a lot to try to do our schoolwork and make sure we were getting outside and doing all the things and not feeling rushed and all of that stuff. So stay tuned for how we make that work and what we're going to be doing for that. But that is pretty much all that I have planned for my preschooler. Now, if she wants to dabble in anything that my older student is doing, she's more than welcome to participate, but this is kind of the stuff that's just for her. Now for my will-be third grader. We've had a lot of changes trying to kind of gear up for next year, as I kind of mentioned in my last video in my second grade update, but all of that is because we are going to be moving in kind of a different direction when it comes to schooling for him. So for starters, it'll come as no surprise, we're sticking with All About Reading. We are going to level 3. I expect that we're actually going to be moving into level 3 before the school year even starts, because he's well over halfway done with level 2 right now. And I actually scored the All About Reading level 3 on Facebook Marketplace with the activity guide already separated and laminated and all that stuff for a fraction of the price. So I'm really excited about that, because if you do All About Reading, you would know that it is a lot of work to set those up. So we are planning on moving into All About Reading level 3. And next for language arts is we are going to be doing cursive, and I'm planning on doing cursive with Handwriting Without Tears. They have a cursive curriculum that goes through kind of workbook style, more independently. I will show him obviously how the letters are formed and stuff like that, but I really like the style of cursive and stuff that All About Reading has. And with us focusing on handwriting and printing right now, he's doing great, but with his other language arts stuff that we are adding, there's going to be more opportunity for him to be continuing working on his hand, like his printing in that part. So we are going to move on and start cursive next year. The biggest thing that we are doing is we are going to be going with Hearth and Story grade 3 for the majority of our language arts for next year. Now, it is a little bit nerve-wracking because they have not completely finished their curriculum for grade 3 yet, but it will be ready by next year. And most of this curriculum is done and on their website. But if you don't know what Hearth and Story is, it is a secular literature curriculum for different grades. I believe she goes up to grade 6. Let me see. Actually, she has like levels 7 and 8 for language arts. She used to make curriculum for a living, and I believe she was a writer for History Quest. So she started doing that. She realized that there was not enough secular options when it came to language arts. And she needed something for her own learners, so she created those, and that's kind of how Hearth and Story was created. Right now, what she does have is she has The Umbrella Maker's Son, which is a novel study, The Last Day of Summer novel study, The Lost Library novel study. She has Poetry in Tune, which is about poetry and music. She has something that she calls Breakfast Cereal, which is a study guide for novel studies, because with hers is she has these different novel studies, and then your student picks out one chapter book that they want to do by themselves as a novel study as well, so that will go with that. Okay, and this next one I know I'm going to say incorrectly, so I apologize in advance, but it's called The Stories of Abs Jornsen and Mo, which is classic folk tales from Norway, and it has the full text and study guide. So that is part of that curriculum. They have the 3rd grade Brain Food, which I'm going to pull up the description here. It's in informal text reading skills, interviewing, speaking, and listening, and more. And then it says this year your student will take a fun look back in time to see how everyday life was different when their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents were kids. And this uses nostalgia as a window into history. So that is included. They have a 3rd grade spelling, and then they have a 3rd grade writing, which is why we are going to be doing print through here. And then whatever else she kind of adds into that curriculum. I am loving what I'm seeing from her other grades, and I love what she has on here. And so I am really excited to delve into the Hearth and Story. I like that it's an all-in-one. This is kind of one of the reasons why we're starting more language arts stuff, because she does have flip-throughs of what she has available already on her YouTube, and some of the stuff that she was saying, you know, kids should already know how to write a sentence and have a vague idea on what a noun is and things like that for this curriculum. And that's not something that my son knows. So the plan is that we will finish the stuff that we are currently doing, which I don't see why we wouldn't be able to finish that stuff before next year. If not, if it gets pushed back a little bit, that's fine. But then we will be doing this for the majority of our English language arts for school. Next, for math. Also, no surprise, we're going to be sticking with Math with Confidence. We're going to be going into grade 3 at some point next year. This is our next big change when it comes to our school, because we have used Build Your Library up until now for the majority of our history. Next year, we are going to be switching. I did do a video on how we are going to be using Story of the World. I will link it down below. We'll be moving into Middle Times or Medieval Times for that. But I decided we are going to be using Layers of Learning. So if you're not sure what Layers of Learning is Layers of Learning goes from kindergarten all the way through high school. And they use Story of the World for their history. And then in this curriculum, you buy it once, and it has everything in there to do history as more of like a unit study approach using Story of the World. So they have different sections divided out for if you have a student in preschool about these ages, these are activities and stuff that you can do. When you're between these ages, these are different activities you can do, and it goes all the way up through high school. And so you're using the same curriculum, you're buying it once, and you are still doing that approach where you are redoing your history cycles, but each time you go in and it goes a little bit deeper, and this already has it set up for you. I do really like the workbook that came with Story of the World. And I might still use some of those coloring pages and stuff like that for my preschooler if she wants to participate in anything like that. But honestly, my oldest is just not a worksheet kid, and he's not really a journaling kid. And I think he's going to get a lot more out of it from this, and it's going to be a lot less work on me when I have a newborn and a 1-year-old trying to do all of this. So layers of learning, it says here that this world history course includes people from all over the world on every continent from approximately AD 450 to 1400. And it will use living books, crafts, foldables, activities, discussions, timelines to take a deep dive into the people and forces that shaped our present. And then it says that Middle Ages is a complete course for ages 6 to 18. It's a hands-on family style unit study type history. So we are going to be using this in conjunction with Story of the World because that's what they use. And if you are interested, they do separate units, so you don't have to buy the whole thing if you don't want to. This curriculum itself, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that it's $45 for the PDF. You can purchase the paperback for $70, which I think is pretty affordable, especially since you're buying it the one time. But if you want, you can buy just individual units for $6 each. So they have early medieval Europe, Islamic, Asian empires, Pacific peoples, high Middle Ages in Europe, medieval Britain, North American peoples, African kingdoms, and the Renaissance. And it's meant to do kind of one unit per month. But like I said, we're year-round homeschoolers, and I really do like the unit study approaches. Whenever we've used a unit study type approach, I really do enjoy it, and it allows us to deep dive whenever we want to. And so I think this is going to work really well with the for our homeschool. They kind of with that is for art, we're going to be doing their Middle Ages art. And this is really cool because they have different art curriculums that correlate with the time in history that you are learning. So this one says the art in the Middle Ages includes paintings, architecture, dance, folk arts, and more from across the world. European cathedrals, Pacific Island topaz cloth, and Islamic tile are all included, plus so much more. And this is used again as a hands-on family style from ages 6 to 18. So you just buy it the one time and you can keep reusing it. This curriculum is also $70 for the, sorry, my kids are supposed to be doing quiet time. So if you hear that, I apologize. But it's $70 for the paperback, and then it is $45 for the PDF version of that. So my plan is that we're going to be using both of these together in our school as our art and our history. So this is mostly art history, and I'm sure they have tons of projects and stuff like that. But I do want to work on more like technique art stuff. I'm not an artistic person. My kids are very artistic, but they don't know certain things when it comes to art, right? And I went to public school, so maybe it's because I'm a public schooled kid and that's why I have this notion. But I did see from Homeschool Glue that there's something called the Classy Artist Box, and it's a subscription based. It would for 2 kids, because I would not include my toddler in this, it would be $25 a month. So I was thinking about with this, it says it's a box of new art supplies for 4 projects, access to 1 video lesson on our site for that month's project, a fun creative way to interact with your children, and material to enjoy the creativity the other weeks of the month. So I'm thinking about doing something like this to add, and I would only do purchase a couple months worth and I would cancel the subscription. And I'm thinking on our breaks, we would be doing something like this. Now this one, like I said, might not be happening. It would be $25 a month for our 2 kids. It all depends on how much I feel like we are going to get out of the Layers of Learning artist curriculum. From what I've heard, Layers of Learning does a sale in June. That's when they're cheapest. The curriculum is the cheapest. So I plan on purchasing it then whenever I see that sale, and I will peruse it and figure out if we're going to be doing the artist box or not. But that's what I'm kind of thinking for that. So with science, I plan on doing Little School of Smiths, also space and anatomy with him. We did do space before with him, but we used Blossom and Root, and we really did not like that curriculum. So I am excited to use the Little School of Smiths one this year. And then the second half of the year, we're going to be doing the anatomy with Little School of Smiths, which we did already do and really enjoyed it. But we are going to be taking a deeper dive into some of the topics. I know he's going to be able to absorb a lot more now that he is a little bit older, but because he is also by the time we do this curriculum, he will be about to turn 9, and he's having a lot more questions now that he is getting older. So I plan on us doing a deeper dive in some of the more body change type discussions, because I think it's really important, especially since he's noticing other kids his age or in his age group that he hangs out with. He's starting to notice a lot more things. So we are going to be going into that stuff as well, just with him, not my preschooler. So if that interests you, stay tuned, because we will be talking about how we're going to add stuff to that curriculum next year. But that is kind of what I have planned for our school next year for our preschooler and our will be third grader. I'm sorry, I know that this was a longer video, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like that button so that I know what kind of videos you like to watch here. It really does help support my channel. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you are thinking of for next year when it comes to school and your learners that you are teaching. I would love to know. And hit that subscribe button. It is a free way for you to be notified of future videos, and I can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye.